Florida's heat isn't just crazy hot. It's flat out disrespectful most of the times. If you're trying to grow food, this sun will test your patience and your plants. I know it's been doing it for us for years. After a few years of trial and error, our backyard food forest, we finally figure out what actually works, especially when it comes to growing food in extreme tropical and subtropical climates like my own. And yes, all my fruits still have seeds. If you're new to gardening or thinking about food security or just tired of watching your crops just tap out by July, this video is directly speaking to you. These are beginning friendly tips that's Florida tested from a real urban backyard, my own backyard. So mulching is your first line of defense. If you want strong yields and healthy soil, mulch is a non-negotiable. Why mulch matters? Mulch shields your soil from this intense Florida sun. It retains moisture, it cuts down your water bill, we all trying to save money, and it keeps your roots cool during heat waves. Mulching feeds your soil naturally over time. Now, it took us 4 years before we got a chip drop. Y'all remember in previous videos I said we're never getting a chip drop. It took us 4 years. This year we have gotten 2 back to back. Before chip drop, we used to use leaves from a tree behind our house that would fall in our grass. We'll use grass chippings, and yes, we went to big box stores and we purchased mulch all the time. Very costly. So glad and thankful we got chip drop. Mulching has helped us keep our trees thriving through these brutal summers, and you guys know Central Florida is hot. So don't overthink it. Use wood chips, pine needles, leaf mulch. Just keep it off the stem of your trunk to prevent root rot. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Watering your food forest or your garden. So you might think that daily watering is a good idea, and you know, sometimes in certain conditions it is. I'll talk about that. But oftentimes it's doing more harm than good. Shallow watering is shallow roots. Shallow roots are plants that they just can't survive the heat. What you want to do instead that we found that work is water deeply, early in the morning, 6 to 8 inches down. So when it's the fall, 2 or 3 times a week of water is all you need when it's cooler temps. You may get away with it even twice a week, depending on your area, if you're getting rain and your soil conditions. Everyone's soil is different. Summertime, 3 to 4 times a week. During rainy season, we can basically shut off the water because, you know, you guys know if you live in tropical or subtropical climate, rainy season, we really don't have to water too much during that stretch. Now, however, during periods of drought like that we've had recently, a few weeks ago for a while, we often need to come outside and water daily in the morning, because what happens is we were seeing 94-degree days, real feel over 103. Nighttime wasn't much of a relief. You're talking 70, going to bed at 75 degrees at night. So it's a lot of stress on the plants. So times like that, and when you're not receiving water, yeah, you're going to water more. You might even water daily sometimes, but it's a good idea just to go outside and check. Put your hand in the soil, bury your hand a couple inches deep, remove some of that mulch, and feel. See if it's moist down there. See if your plants actually need the water. Potted plants are going to need a little bit more water than your in-ground plants, so just make sure you know that. Another thing too, get into some rain barrels. Try to find yourself some rain barrels. We just started capturing rain. We need way more rain barrels for that reason, because your plants, they want rain more than they want tap water. So if you can give them rainwater on a consistent basis, you're talking about some serious growth there. So just something to think about, family. So let's talk about natural shade. Now, if you live in Florida, you know it gets hot in July, hot in August, and hot in September. So all your plants don't need this full sun like they tell you. This is different. So it's good to plant things like moringa and bananas or areca palms or pigeon peas to help cast shade on some of the plants that don't need that full sun, like katuk or shampoo ginger, or even putting pineapples beneath. Things like cassava does well with dimple light, as well as many other plants in your food forest. We have learned, we have put things, we've seen and heard it needs full sun. We give it full sun and it died back. It wasn't until we start planting taller plants, like even not like palm trees, for instance, like putting palm trees around just to help cast a little bit of shade over a lot of your tropical plants until they get established, is needed. So when you see things that say they're cold hardy or they can take full sun. Oftentimes that's when they're mature. When they're young and when they're baby plants, they're not cold hardy yet, and they can't take full sun yet. So providing a little bit of shade for them oftentimes does, I mean, you'll watch that plant grow beautifully. But if you have it out there cooking in that Florida full sun, it's gonna stunt that growth. Okay, so let's plant crops that actually love the heat. Now, as you guys know, I made a 3-part series on what you can grow in the summer. You should check that out. It gives you some ideas of what you can plant if you live in a tropical and subtropical climate. Those are heat-loving plants and trees that you can plant in Florida in your food forest. And I have all those that I mentioned planted right now in my food forest zone 10A, and they're planted right now. Things like moringa. It's your nutrition, it's your multivitamin, the healthiest plant on earth. Seminole pumpkins. It's Florida native, tough, and prolific, and you can store those for quite a while. Cassava, they're calorie crops. They thrive in the heat. Pigeon peas, drought tolerant, and it fixes nitrogen in your soil. Even dragon fruit is minimal maintenance once it's established. Bananas and plantains, like you see behind me, they provide shade, they're fast growers, and you're getting hundreds of pounds of food. Mulberries, fast growing fruit tree, and you can't even kill a mulberry even if you try. Papaya, quick fruit, and you put a seed in the ground, you'll have fruit in a year. Peanuts, they're summer ground cover and protein. Sugar cane, super low effort, grows like crazy. Sweet potatoes, you get 2 ways of eating. You can eat the leaves and you can eat the sweet potato. Now, we grow all these not just for survival, but for wellness as well. These are nutrition dense foods that you can grow in your own yard right now. All right, so next up, we're gonna design with intention. So what that means is just planting things in your yard with a purpose. So that could be if you're getting a mango tree and let's say you got a Valencia Pride and let's say you got power lines going through your backyard. You don't want to plant a Valencia Pride underneath and you got power lines going to your house, because over time those Valencia Pride is going to grow and it's going to hit those power lines. So another thing, if your yard like ours during rainy season, it can get flooded in certain areas. You don't want to plant things that can't handle that water. You want to plant crops and trees and plants that can soak that water up, that likes that water, and that can help you out in your backyard too by soaking it up. And also planting different plants together, plants that like a lot of water versus plants that do not need all that water. You don't want to put them together. So you want to have some type of intention when you're planting and starting your food forest. And another thing to think about too, if something's struggling, don't be afraid to move it. You know, it's your yard, it's your plants. Nobody's going to tell you other. And if something's thriving in your space and you really like that, plant more of it. If it's something that you like to eat and it's thriving, plant as much of it as you can. That's how we did it without wasting too much money and too much water. And think about it like this. We want a self-sustaining system here being built that provides us with food and is low impact. Like, we don't want to be out here all day doing things. Now, the initial setup of your food forest is quite time consuming, but over time it becomes self-sufficient and you'll mainly just be pulling weeds and harvesting. The initial setup is hard. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of money. It does. But over time, you'll just be coming outside to pull weeds and to harvest food once it gets up and running. So next up is timing your planting right. So you can have the right plant and at the wrong time and you're still gonna fail. Here, what works for us in Central Florida, Zone 10A, watermelon. Watermelon likes to be planted in late winter, and then we can plant it again in midsummer. We can get a double harvest here, which is pretty cool. Sweet potatoes, you can plant those in early spring. Peanuts, spring or early summer. Seminole pumpkins after the last frost. Cassava and moringa once you have no more risk of frost. All right, family, so look, Florida garden ain't always easy, we know that, but of course it's worth it. You're growing food in your own backyard. You can't beat that. This video, these aren't guesses. These are tips built from sweat and failure and just small wins that I've had. So if you stick with it, you'll grow food, you'll save money, and you'll boost your health in the process. Before I started my food forest, I didn't know anything about gardening. In 4 years, my wife and I turned our backyard from being boring, hot, nothing growing but weeds, just this piece of land into a food forest, and we even have a blue zones garden that's feeding our entire family year round. Also, I know a lot of people, I've seen it in the comments, you guys have reached out to me. Yeah, we have 4 kids as well, and 3 of our kids are smaller, where they like to play in the yard, and they like to play on their play set. They like to play tag, hide and seek, run, throw the ball, things like that. So yeah, we've left room for our kids to play in the backyard. It's not a complete food forest. We don't have plants everywhere. Now, one day, yes, when they're older, yes, but you could do it too. So you don't have to give up your entire yard just to make your food forest. You can plant in places where you're able to, and you can still have, you know, room for your kids to play. We've done it. So yes, you can do it. And maybe I'll make a video and I'll show you guys the logic behind what we were thinking, how we can still give our kids room to play, and we can still grow our food to feed, you know, their hungry butts too. So, well, again, thank you guys for watching. If you learned anything, you know, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're growing, and let me know how long you've been growing food for, and some of the challenges that you faced. And you know, it's always good to hear from you guys. You guys know I read the comments. I love hearing what you guys got going on in your food forest, because we're just trying to all grow food at the end of the day. We're all trying to be healthy. So thank you guys again. God bless, and take care of yourselves and take care of your family. Until the next video.